Yeah, so yeah, yeah, it started like, I don't know when, Friday morning, or even might have been Thursday, and so Sue, everything had to be in by Thursday, and so I think, I mean, it could be that it is that, okay, but also, the other thing that struck my mind was we had a phenomenal different type of full moon. Um,
Didn't we ever?
yeah, what is it called? The pink moon or something? Eh?
Pink moon, yeah, pink moon, yeah.
I haven't read a single article. I'm aware that it was around, but I only was aware yesterday. Um, so I'm not quite sure what day it was. Was it, when was it?
I think
Thursday?
it was Thursday or Friday. Thursday, I think it was. Thursday, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
My own personal experiences is that, and this is just like about full moons generally, I'm fine up through like on the lead up to the full moon and the full moon itself. But usually, 1 or 2 days after the full moon, I just have to care for myself.
what are the symptoms? What do you feel like?
It's just intensified energy. Yeah, very much so. So I just know that if I get annoyed about something, or if I react, normally it's if I react, because I find a lot of other people react. And if I'm in a position where I'm talking to a lot of people, or, face to face with people or whatever, and I just find a lot of them tend to be quite rude and arrogant. And it's just the build-up of that, and it's just like, oh, for crying out loud, just,
Okay, so you don't get any like physical symptoms, like I've had a very thick head the whole time, and
well, what would it have been? It would have been Thursday night. No, maybe Friday night. Hardly slept a wink. Couldn't sleep. Just
yeah,
couldn't sleep.
yeah, same with me. Exactly the same with me. I couldn't sleep, man. The
Yeah.
worst night of my life. Somewhere I can't even remember which night it was, but they were all bad except for last night.
Couldn't sleep. It felt like I had a brick sitting on my stomach. It was just, yeah, just couldn't sleep,
Okay.
which is quite unlike me, And so normally what I do when I'm sort of having trouble sleeping is I'll just go and put on some chants or something like that. But
Yeah.
didn't make a jot of difference. Didn't make a jot of difference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. I resorted to chamomile tea, um, and some natural sleep tablets, just called Sleep. I actually, which you seem to have had them for free, or with something that you ordered, and
Yeah.
so I've had those. That didn't help. Nothing helped. Okay, nothing at all.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense sort of moon, wasn't it? So.
I don't know. Yeah, that could be it, because I'm not prone to being sick. Okay.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
and I mean, when you look at me now, I look at myself in the Zoom picture, I don't look sick. Okay. Um,
mm.
but I'm not feeling well. I'm feeling better than I did for the last 4 days, 5 days.
Mm.
But
I
still
think the other, I
exhausted.
think the other thing which was sort of, and also one of the reasons I was just late tonight, is at a personal level, I've been like really thinking quite deeply about, and it's on the back of our discussions around, the grand purpose and stuff like that. So I mean, the very nature of those discussions have in my own head have been one of, well, it's time to go and revalidate or renew or whatever the process is going to be. So I've been thinking a lot about that as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So, so that's been on my mind. But I think in a broader sense, so this other person, like she's a dear friend, lives down in Melbourne, is just going through a really nasty situation with her employer at the moment. So, the last day or two sort of been helping her process that a bit too,
Right.
which again is sort of this real sort of revalidation of the grand purpose, sort of thing.
Yeah.
as well. So it just seems to be in the air at the moment, around me anyway, you know. So
Yeah.
and I guess the pressure that you've been under with Get Set Up in one sense, it's not as dramatic as reevaluating the grand purpose, but it goes to the heart of doing what you love, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah,
So,
it is, and them wanting to change it. But then also last week, my youngest daughter, had her first child and had a bit of trouble, and then yesterday, day before yesterday, they were let out of hospital. Everything was good, and then that night they had to come back to hospital.
yeah.
So there was sort of stuff there, but
Yeah.
I don't think. I think the Get Set Up was at the core probably, and Sue says thinks it is as well. At the core of, because this whole class thing, I was seeing it as 5 stages of business, and they seeing it as nothing to do with business, but moving with your purpose, and so they explained that to me at the beginning, but then I still put it together, and they still say, well, it still sort of makes you think that this is a business, okay? And they come back with phrases or one sentences, and that sentence came today or last night. And
I think it's maybe a little bit bigger issue than you're giving yourself credit for, because the first thing that comes to my mind is this new guy. Does he see himself as the determinant of the content of courses? Like, is that what he's setting himself up for? I mean, it's a really dangerous thing to do, I think.
yeah,
I mean, because it's a subject matter for yourself, and it's your time and energy and expertise that you put into it. So I would have thought his role, and maybe it's a conversation at some point you might need to have with him, but I think his role is really about saying, yes, this is a good fit for Get Set Up, and then the conversation might be, do you think there's also a potential either in this course or as a separate course to talk about something, which is just about life purpose or something like that, But
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he's going to head up the Australian launch. I think that's what his. We haven't been told that. I think we've been told very little, in fact, because Stacey.
Yeah, but you've been around. You know how these things work. So.
Yeah. So he was party to the conversation with Deval and myself, and Deval wanted to tell me what she wanted. I kept you abreast of that. She wanted like 5 classes, and she wanted to talk what was in her mind. And so
I think
she did.
You've delivered on that, haven't you? I would have thought. But anyway, that's
sorry. Say again.
So, well, I thought you would have. I thought my sense is that you have delivered on that. So
yeah. I thought so too. So I think the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. So
I mean, if he's got such a clear view about what he wants, then let him write the course and give it to you to go and deliver it.
That wasn't far from the truth, because last night when he wrote that to me, I said to him, I haven't a clue what you're talking about. Please will you enlarge a few paragraphs?
Yeah.
And he came back this morning. No. It's fine. Leave it as it is. Anyway, the bottom line is that I've got to start feeling well. We're doing some training on Monday and Wednesday. We haven't done any training since I've been with Get Set Up, but now they've got some sort of, I don't know, some national or international accreditation on how to present online and how to create slides. And that was another, that was another thing too. With all 5 slides, apparently they've got their own fonts they want, not their own fonts, but fonts that they want used in the slides. And I can recall somewhere back up, maybe earlier this year, that them talking about it, but nobody had bothered with my previous slides, so I just carried on doing without any sort of acknowledgement of that. And I also make my slides, in my opinion, in my perception, attractive, okay, with large pictures and things like that. And you've seen them. I mean, I've showed you. We've worked through them together, and that's not acceptable. So the company asked this guy in Eastern Australia to redo mine according to the company criteria, okay, which is a certain color background, which is like, it's a lemon 3 background, and put the right fonts in, which he did. And then he reduced all the images to much smaller images, and then said that's what the company wants. Okay, so I accepted that. It's a perception of what one person does and another person does.
Yeah, that's right.
The company wants a certain font, they're entitled to that font. I don't have a problem with that. And if they want, I don't know if they want small pictures or big pictures, but
well, that's right. I mean, if they've got a style guide, just communicate it, you know. So
yeah. So that didn't bother me really. In fact, I think they look more professional than mine. But, anyway, yeah. So anyway, that's what it is.
So where have you ended up? Like, are you still going ahead with what you've done, in effect? Or?
Yeah. No, nothing's been changed. And we land up on Sunday night, as we always do on Sunday night. And you know, the class schedules haven't been put up. Now the rest of the world get their class schedules for the month. Okay, we don't even get them for the week. And I guess, you know, they had employed somebody to do it, Gabby, and then she resigned and moved on, and they haven't replaced her. And I don't know who's going to replace her, but you know, they must have people in America that doing all the classes there. You know, why can't they do ours? But I don't know. It's not sure why. As we're talking now, my classes aren't up, and I'm busy teaching tomorrow morning, so people can't book for the class, okay, because it's not up. Okay, I can't launch it until it goes up. So historically, I wake up on Monday morning and there they are, okay, with 1 or 2 attendees who happen to come across it, you know. So
that's a bit unfair, isn't it? That's a bit unfair on you, because you actually don't know what you're going to be doing until.
No, that's true. But at the same time, you know, especially with new ones, with new lessons like the 5 we're talking about. But any of my old lessons are fine. I don't need warning. I can, you know, I can do those with my eyes closed. But but the new ones, I'm still trying to put together some background notes, you know, in order until I get more familiar with them and can talk spontaneously like I can with class 1. But anyway, yeah. So tell me about you.
About me.
Well, I have some.
Probably just want to say that I think that I found that our chats around this work that you've been doing has been really quite powerful, you know.
Okay.
Really quite powerful, and I strongly suspect that when you start doing them, you know, and the word getting out there, I think you're going to find yourself having quite a big following. I do.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you're probably right from my perspective, is that, you know, having these sort of change of what I was absolutely sold on with class 1 originally, and taking it forward with our discussions to find it all watered down. I don't think I found my grasp yet on that, on what they want, you know.
But the other proof in the pudding, as you say, will be the feedback that the initial participants, you know, give.
Yeah.
And my sense of it is they're going to be going to be quite affected by it in a positive way. I think.
Yeah, yeah. The one thought I had during the day today was, if, we're talking about, creative society and the terms that we use that go along with it for the future and so on. And somehow, now this only occurred to me today, and actually getting more, as I'm thinking about it now, maybe getting a little clearer in my mind. And that is, they want people to do something on their idea, their purpose, okay, on purpose. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with anything about money. Okay. And that's what the East Australian re-emphasized. Deval mentioned it first of all, and I sort of accepted it because it's, it was easy just to accept without thinking about it. And then when he re-emphasized it a couple of days later, it was, and I've been thinking about it today. It's like, maybe this is where we need to be heading, be able to, we want to work, we have to work for a purpose that is an authentic purpose, but we don't need to worry about the money. Okay, and we don't need to worry about sustainability. Okay, as I can see it in this particular class, there's nothing about sustainability. It's not about trying to get to a level, or not trying to make some income to live on, not trying to feed yourself. It's about working a purpose.
Yeah, but I think, well, in my mind anyway, though, but working a purpose is you do need to assess your progress.
But why assess it with money?
No, I'm not saying with money, but there does need to be some sort of assessment. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, whatever, if your grand purpose is to be a role model for ethical living within your family or whatever.
Yeah.
Then.
Oh, well, yes. Then you would need to, keep on going back to your purpose. Okay. I agree. And if you can recall, I don't blame you if you can't, but in class 3, I had some comments there that reflected back to their purpose in class 1. And this guy, Brian, Mark Bevan, who Eastern Australia, came back to me and said, why are you redoing purpose again? You did that before, and these are slides he's taking this from. Okay. So I thought, okay, I just need to leave you alone. You need to leave me alone and come in. And I said to him, please come into one of this particular class. Okay. You've been to class 1, come into class 2 and 3, and then I'm sure we can have fruitful discussions. Okay.
Sounds like the classic old trap, like in the old business planning model. Oh, let's talk about vision, mission, and values.
Yes.
Okay, now we've done that. Now let's get down and do the other stuff. Yeah, but what about the stuff that we've just committed to? Yeah. No, that's up there on the shelf.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, quite right. Yeah. Anyway, so that could be the problem, and it's maybe that coupled with a bit of pink moon and all the stress of during the week prior to that, yeah,
but I think the positive thing out of it though is at least it'll give you a bit of clear air moving forward now. So.
Yeah. But
and it's also good to learn about some of these things now, so you'll just be a bit wiser about the next course.
Yeah. Yeah, you mean in the design and the present?
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And as I said, the slides actually look attractive with this sort of yellow background and the
concept. So did they change your microgreens course as well, or?
I don't think anybody's seen it, quite honestly. No, they haven't. But they're having a professional train us Eastern Australians, Australians now on Monday and Wednesday, and one of the topics is about slides and fonts and things like that. So
yeah.
I guess they'll probably say to us, right, you know, if your slides haven't been changed, change them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see.
No big deal.
Yeah, yeah. How's your work going?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been sort of fairly busy and that, but I've been a bit more preoccupied with just sort of thinking about other things at the moment, you know, just like with my furniture and things like that. So it just sits there in the background a bit, you know. So
yeah.
I'm sort of at this stage, probably been at that stage for quite a while actually, where I don't get too animated about other people's businesses much anymore.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. I don't think I'd ever be able to again.
It's just like, yeah, well, that's your business. You do what you think's right, you know.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
I mean, I couldn't help myself the other day, though. It was on Friday. You know, one of the managers there was complaining bitterly about one of the other staff there. And normally I just sort of bite my tongue and don't say anything. But I just sort of said to them, well, the best thing to do is go and have a conversation with that person. You know, I said, you've articulated the problem quite well in front of me in the last 10 or 15 minutes. But my advice to you is then articulate just as clearly what you do want.
Yeah.
And their mouth slammed shut and didn't say another word.
Oh no. Oh, I didn't take your advice.
Well, I think it's just a classic case is people are quite happy to criticize and whinge and complain, but when you sort of say to them, so tell me what you do want then.
Yeah.
You know, they just give you the sort of, you know, doe-eyed look. Oh, what do you mean?
Yeah. More people did that, we'd live in a changed world, a better world.
Well, that's the level of honesty and integrity, in my view, that we need to get to. We need to get to this honest conversations and get away from this hierarchical, you know, I'm the manager, what I say goes. Like,
yeah,
give me a break. It's not a kindergarten, for crying out loud, you know.
yeah.
In fact, I'm sure they wouldn't even do that in kindergarten anymore, you know. So
Yeah, I think so.
you know, it's just like, why is there this lack of honesty and this sort of wallpapering over issues? Why can't we just have an honest conversation about it? You know, it's just very strange. Very strange.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you know, the level of conflict which is emerging in the world, the resolution to that has got to come through honest conversations, not with throwing spears and hammers at each other, you know. So
yeah,
I would have thought that we've gone past all of that, but clearly not, you know. So
yeah.
you know. But I suppose when you think about the agendas of some of those people in positions of power, honesty is not one of their strong suits, I don't think. So
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the things, isn't it? You know, that the power of an honest conversation cannot be understated, you know. You know, you sort of get some of these sort of blokey sort of cultures, you know, the hangover from, you know, the male dominated view of the world. And, you know, they sort of think about some of these things as being, you know, wishy-washy and soft.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, well, from a spiritual perspective, if you're coming from a position of love and integrity, you know, that divine position, when you think about it, there can be no more powerful thing in the entire creation. Like, that is the most powerful and strongest thing in the entire creation, because it's you know, the energy behind the perfection of it, you know, the truth of it you know, I mean, that's what everything's founded on, you know, like that is the ultimate truth, you know, so,
Yeah.
you know, so that's just part of the lie that people seem quite happy to perpetuate, you know, so,
Mhm.
and it's a bit like, you know, as Moya says and others say, you know, the sooner that we stop this nonsense and just say, yes, there is God, okay, and now let's move on from there.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, it means, you know, that the position of God is love, integrity, you know, important values, and all of those things. Then it puts all the nonsense to bed pretty quick, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. Yeah. And it's God is all knowing. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yes.
so the sooner that, you know, people, you know, start doing their darndest to align themselves with, you know, that divine energy, then, you know,
Yeah.
wholesale change within the planet is going to be a slow, tortuous process, and it doesn't need to be that way. It really doesn't.
Yeah. I was listening very recently, within the last 7 days, I would imagine. Um, I've been telling you from time to time about the Edge of Wonder, and um, and their latest thing out is 2 parts. And I was listening to the second part, and they were talking about the link between everything. Okay, but between everything, and how certain things influence people's behavior. But before I get to that, they were talking of experiments that some of them hit the main media historically, perhaps over the last even 100 years or 50 years. But most of them didn't, but there were books written about them and so forth. And things that you and I are familiar with, okay, from other readings that we've done, you know, like they're talking about consciousness and like the 100 monkey consciousness. And, you know, we both know about that. And they spoke about how scientists had proven absolutely, and they showed the proof. It was in the book, it's written, there were witnesses and everything about how plants actually communicate with one another. And they do, right? And but they prove it scientifically now. You see that it is, and it shows these things, and how people can actually communicate with plants, and plants can communicate with people. It's not like a barrier that's there, okay? And so be it with animals and so on as well. And so they were obviously bringing the sort of program to a point that everything is connected, okay? Quantum physics, okay? And they then went on to talk about how, because this has been known for such a long time, that the Satanists have sort of, who rule the world in this, have from every single conceivable corner of human beings growing up as babies through to adulthood are influenced. And they gave examples which was so interesting, like more our age, I guess, when there wasn't TV and cell phones, but there were comics. Okay. And we had comics, and the comics were, you know, the good and the bad, and, you know, and you in the worst comics you'd find somebody pulling out somebody else's brains, and or somebody shooting somebody all the time, and so on. So we were sort of conditioned to accept that. And so, yeah, we say yes, sure, like you're nodding your head and you saying yes now, okay, because you and I know that. But now they come to now, 2020, I think it was, or it might have been 2019, where they show how they've got a video in a waiting room. Okay, I don't know, but a person goes out once, so maybe it is a doctor's waiting room. Okay, I don't know. I don't think they, you know, but there was a waiting room of perhaps 20 people, okay, or more, and but it was set up, okay. So they've got it videoed, okay, and they've got one person who's not part of the plan, okay. It was a woman, and the rest were all part of the plan. And so what happened was, in this room, every so often, some music would play, the exact same music, and then everybody stood up, okay, and except the woman, okay. Yes, and then after about the fifth time, I think it was, she like looks around and she also stands up. Hasn't a clue why she's standing up.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
Yeah, just doesn't. Yeah.
But that's not the end of it, you see. So eventually, everybody is out through the room, to the door, and she's by herself. The music plays, she stands up. And then some new people coming, you know, and so she stands up, and they say, "Why are you standing up?" And she thought about this. I don't know. Everybody else did. And that, you know, it shows how we are how easily we are conditioned as adults, let alone as children. Huh? So yeah, quite fun. Yeah, we are conditioned, and you and I are conditioned to. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And this is, I guess, one of the issues, you know, like whether it's something that comes with age and wisdom or experience or whatever.
Yeah.
But you just start saying to yourself, like, what is this? You know,
Yes.
count me out. You know, count me out. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I walk around with a mask on. Come on, man, count me out on this, but I've got to walk around with a mask on because I'm told I have to. Okay, I don't have a choice. And then we're sitting today. We thought, well, let's just catch the news at about 4 o'clock, I think it was, just about half an hour before you. Well, yeah, about 4 o'clock, and we listened, and there wasn't any news. So I pulled up my phone and I listened to the news on one of the apps I have, and Sue and I listened to it. And our premier says openly that people are volunteering to get vaccinated. You know, they're going flat out and really appreciates it. And all right, and yes, he said there was last week our one guard got COVID, and yes, he had been vaccinated 2 weeks before. But as I've told you many times, okay, the vaccination doesn't stop you getting COVID.
Really?
The vaccination doesn't stop you getting COVID. Okay, that's his word today on the. If you go and Google it now, you'll hear it. He says what it does do is stops you from, if you have it, to passing it on to somebody else. Okay.
Well, I've never heard that before. No.
Yeah, well, you got it for the first time, because now what do they do? People who've been vaccinated and are getting COVID, they've got to come up with another story. Got to come up with another story. Yeah. I just, and now you could, you know, just go and Google it on 7 News, old Premier, whatever his name is. No, it's that's what you get to a point where you just feel, what the hell? You know, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. I know it's all Codswallop, but what do we do about it?
It's so true, you know, because one of the books that I've been listening to, you know, on my daily drive, it was telling a story about this elderly Japanese guy living in a village in Japan, and the story went along the lines of, you know, when the World War II was in full swing, you know, the Japanese military came to him and said, you know, you're one of the few people who can speak English in addition to Japanese. So we need you to be an interpreter, you know, when we're interrogating prisoners and stuff like that. And he just said, well, I'm not prepared to do that because I don't believe in violence and I don't subscribe to the war and, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think they imprisoned him or whatever anyway. So endured a lot of personal hardship as a result of that comment. And then at the end of the war, when the Americans, largely Americans, come through, and he was released from jail, and they're sort of saying, well, we need you to be an interpreter, you know, so that we can do all of this, you know, war crimes and all that sort of stuff. And his response was, well, I don't know who you are either. So, you know, so why replace, you know, one demon with another? And you think to yourself, well, good on him. You know, like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Why do I have to choose a side? You know, like,
Yeah.
I choose my own side. You know, like, yeah. You know, and that's in effect what we're being asked to do just about every single day, is we're being asked to either stand up, and we don't know why, or we're being asked to sort of, you know, choose a side. I said, well, I don't want to choose a side. I choose to live the life, you know, which I think is in my best interest, you know, so not someone else's best interest, you know, so
yeah.
So it's.
But the point is, you know, what can we do about it? You know, what, as individuals, what do? We wait for the circumstances to arise, and then we have to react.
Well, I mean, I think at one level, you know, it's just and it's sort of a time dependent thing, but at one level, you know, I've had people saying to me, oh, you know, you're of the age group where you can go and get your vaccination now if you want to. And I'm just like, oh, thanks for letting me know. Like, I ain't going near it, you know, like, you got people dropping dead, you know, within a week because of blood clots and goodness knows what, you know, and now this, you know, that it won't save you from getting COVID, you know, so like, just run that past me again. Why I'm supposed to be getting vaccinated? So, and I think too, you know, on the back of what I was saying before about honest conversations, you know, why do we have to compromise our own independence if we are of the mindset that honesty and integrity is an important thing? So I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone. I'm happy to have an open mind if you can convince me that, you know, I'm not seeing something that I perhaps could see, or, you know, whatever. But if you can't convince me of that through an open and honest conversation, then I'm sorry, I don't see the need to change, you know, so.
Yeah. But you think that you would be able to be convinced?
I mean, you know, say for example, I mean, it's probably a clumsy example, but, you know, say someone said to me, oh, you know, aliens, you know, extraterrestrials have now revealed themselves to the broader population of the earth, and they have these technologies and they have these things, and things that we didn't think were possible are now possible. And that, I said, fantastic, tell me all about it. You know, not, oh my God, we need to kill these people, these things. Which just about every science fiction movie that you've probably ever seen in your life, you know, that
correct.
If someone's coming in, can't be a good thing.
Absolutely correct. If you use a different example, let's say the pharmaceutical world came up with a what they call a natural solution to diabetes, and you suffer from diabetes, okay, and you know, got all these test results and so on. Would you get excited about it, or would you question the source?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of the honesty is, well, tell me more about it. You know, don't give me a sales pitch. Tell me more about it. You know, so
eventually the scientific evidence, and It's
Yeah, the scientific evidence, and if it is of such a great benefit to humanity, why aren't you just giving it to everyone, making it available? Why do you have to sell it?
Would you?
You know, and this is part of the conditioning and the lie.
Um,
You know that everything's for sale, and it's not. You know,
yeah.
like money is not real. You know, in fact, it was ironic actually, because I was having a conversation with my eldest son there earlier today, and I just said to him, because he's right into finance and financial planning and all that. Like he works in a superannuation firm and all that sort of stuff. You know,
Mm, mm,
and I said to him, just enlighten me. Tell me what your understanding is of these cryptocurrencies. And he gave me a whole list of examples, because he's researched it, you know, to quite a, you know, deep level. And he said, well, to be honest with you, if you wanted to start a cryptocurrency, you could do that this afternoon. And he says, and what will happen is that through these exchanges, and these exchanges are like corporate entities, so they're not backed by any sovereign or anything like that.
mm.
They then list this new cryptocurrency as something that people can buy and sell, and they charge a fee to do that, to buy and sell these cryptocurrencies. He said, so what's happening is people will put some money into it, so buy some of the Don coin, if you want to call it that.
Mm.
And it's probably, you know, 0.0001 of a cent, you know, initially. And then they'll go out there, usually through social media, typically Facebook, and say, hey, this is the next big thing. This is the next big thing. Get on this one. And they pump it up, and people start putting money into it. And then, you know, it might go from 0.0001, you know, of a cent up to, say, 3 cents. And then they drag their money out as quick as a flash.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like there's been examples where a guy created, you know, a cryptocurrency, and all of these people, high profile people, were putting money into it, and he just said, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't give a stuff about it. I created it, but I'm not interested anymore. It's got nothing to do with me anymore. And it just went ballistic and then burst.
Yeah.
You know, so it again, it's just artificial. And then there's examples like, I think in Turkey, I think there was some guy over there set up one of these exchanges, which is the marketplace, if you like, for buying and selling. And he just picked up his bank account one night with billions of whatever in it and disappeared. So,
Yeah.
and then he said, so as a result of that, there's been another further progression and development of these cryptocurrencies, is that you have these secure wallets to have your money in. And the secure wallets have even gone off the cloud onto USB drives. And they're highly encrypted and all that sort of stuff, so that no one can steal your coin. But there's also been several cases out there in recent times where apparently, because they've got like highly encrypted passwords, like 20 odd characters, you know, passwords and that. But there's been lots of cases where people have had significant sums of money on these USB wallets,
Yeah.
and they can't remember their password.
Yeah.
And the way these things are set up is that after, you know, so many tries, it's locked and you cannot get back into it.
Goodness me. Yeah.
So there's all of this stuff going on,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't help saying, but none of this is real. He's, oh no, it's just manufactured stuff. But then he was telling me about, but there's a couple of because I said to him, like, is there some sort of hierarchy? Like, are there reputable ones? Like, you said, well, Bitcoin's the biggest one, and Elon Musk is trying to dominate that in many respects because he's pumping billions of dollars into it now, and apparently one Bitcoin is worth about $73,000 now.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with the cryptocurrency seems to be trying to get into it low and pump it up and just predict the right time to get out of it.
Mm.
And I said to him, well, it's really weird. But he said there's the other ones, like number 2 is, I think it's called Ethereum,
Yeah.
where they're trying to make themselves as a bona fide next, form of currency. And then there's another one called Ripple. Apparently they're trying to do similar sort of thing. So they're trying to develop a network where, they're even going to have like ATMs and that, so you can take your Ripple coins or whatever they're going to be called and buy your groceries with them and things like that, so.
Yeah.
But
There's another one that I think if obviously you've done research, and I think you should research one. It's called Carrot Gold.
Yeah, you've mentioned that to me before. Yeah.
Now that one is linked directly to gold holdings.
Yeah.
Okay. So you actually buying and selling gold on crypto, but you can also, they've got machines, so you can go and pay, your grocery bill with.
Well, apparently one of the key things though is to buy into this, like for example, crypto gold, is you actually have to find the exchange which has it listed as an option, because all of your transactions have to be done through these exchanges.
Yeah.
So you can't just go directly to them. You have to.
Well, you can with Carrot Gold. Carrot Gold, you can go direct, and then once you're there and you registered with them and you've bought some gold and so on, then there are links to exchanges. Okay, so it sounds like it's very secure. I've been sort of looking at it for about 3 years now, and when I was still overseas, I dabbled in it a little bit because I just wanted to see how things go, and it seems to be going strong. But it's also they've created around it. It's a German company, okay, and the guy who heads it up is some German hierarchy, and what they do with the selling or the marketing of it, it's like an affiliate program. It is an affiliate program, okay.
Yeah.
So, but I realized that too much was going on there in the cryptocurrency world that I decided just to let back and not to follow.
Well, it's right. It's a bizarre environment. I mean, like from what Matthew was telling me, and from what I've heard through a couple of other people anecdotally, you'd have these scenarios, the good news story, where someone would invest $200 and a month later it's worth $42,000 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure for every one story you hear like that, there's probably thousands of stories where they've put their $200 in, and in a month's time it's worth 1 cent. So.
Hey, be careful how you assume, man. You know what assume does? It makes
I know, but I'm not. Let me tell you, I'm quite certain it's not a scenario where every child gets a prize. I'm pretty sure it's not that sort of scenario. That's
the world you're looking for anyways, every child gets a prize.
But anyway, it just it's very, very interesting. But anyway, who knows?
Yeah, probably a good place to stop.
Yeah, I think so. On the back of all of that,
Go and look at your Carrot Gold now.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I hope. Well, I'm feeling better already. So thanks.
Well, that's good.
Your good energy. good energy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll talk to you on Wednesday at the stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think we'll probably just stay on this because I don't want to have
On this one?
fun.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Oh, okay then. Take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye.